Hey, what is up, guys? It's MyGamesGX here, and I'm going to be showing you guys off 3 more structure deck combos. So if you have 3 structure decks, you're going to be able to do these combos. However, I am going to add a few extra cards into the mix for this list for the people who want that kind of upgraded list. I know I mentioned like 5 cards I recommended at the end. You can kind of see what cards I added from into this list. So you guys will also see Light and Darkness Dragon Lord, which is basically like a $1 card. So I definitely highly recommend getting this on top of Predaplant, Draco's Stapelia, and Borreload Furious Dragon. Also Garura just for the Super Poly. But that's really all that changes. The rest of the cards aren't going to be too much meaningful. If you want to lock, you have that option, but it's definitely not necessary. However, I will show you a combo for that at the end. So if you want to see more videos like this, let me know. I also just won my playmat event, branded best deck. With that being said, leave a like down below, check out my website if you want to help support the channel and get some nice branded resources. Join the Discord and comment what you guys thought on this video once it is over. Subscribe. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers, quickly growing too. I really do appreciate that. We grew like 300 subscribers the last week. Very much appreciate that, guys. You guys are the goats. New branded support. It's a great time to be a branded player, so let's get right into it, guys. So this is one of my favorite combos with the structure decks. All you need is an Aluber plus branded in white. So you go Aluber effect, go for the branded fusion, and then you can go branded fusion, and you're making a Renbrum here by sending a Albaz plus Mercurier to the graveyard. And then you can go Mercurier effect, or sorry, you can then make the Renbrum, and then you can go branded in white and then banish the Albaz in the graveyard plus the Mercurier, because branded in white is basically a miracle fusion when you have an Albaz in the graveyard. And this is how you still get to your Mirror Jade. So you can then go Lubellion effect, discard for cost, Fulos, and then chain block it from Bell or something like that with the Mercurier. That can then search you a Shrouded Dragon. And then you can fuse back your Lubellion and Albaz into the Mirror Jade. And then here you can go Shrouded effect to then send Branded Sword to the graveyard, and then put Shrouded to the bottom, and then draw a card. And then you can chain the Branded Sword here to banish for cost to give you another interruption. So you just have 3 interruptions on the board now. But you can now go Mirror Jade effect. This is a very cool ruling with Mirror Jade and Renbrum, where you can send for cost Mirror Jade, and then go for either a Titanclad or an Albion here. I think Titanclad's pretty good. And then you can chain Renbrum to your own Mirror Jade, because Renbrum negates an extract monster's effect. In any one, you can negate the effect and then return 1 monster on the field to the hand. So I'm negating the Mirror Jade, and then I can return the Aluber to hand. And guess what? The Mirror Jade is... The Aluber is nice follow-up, right? But the more important part is the Mirror Jade is a soft once per turn. So since it was completely negated, and you can basically you will be able to use Mirror Jade again when you go to the end phase, and then go Titanclad effect, get yourself a just a Quem to give yourself like another potential 2 to 3 interruptions, right? You can either send the Cartesia or Fallen of Albaz. I think Fallen of Albaz is pretty good here, honestly, because if the Renbrum goes to the graveyard, that's live. And then also if your opponent like leaves the extra deck, or you can trigger it with your own Mirror Jade, right? Because then you pass your opponent and then go Mirror Jade effect, send the whatever, Albion for follow-up, and then you can trigger the Quem to then summon the Albaz. And then Albaz can then go effect to fuse off by discarding for cost. And you can also fuse off your own Renbrum here to put in the graveyard if you really want, which is kind of interesting with like potentially the next Albaz, which is pretty cool for that kind of play. But then you can fuse off something on your opponent's side of the field and go for Stigmata or like a Stapelia play, basically. So that's pretty cool. That's one of your best 2-card combos by far with the structure deck, in my opinion. So I want to show you guys a really cool interaction that you can have with the Fallen and Virtuous, especially going second to basically loop the Mirror Jade. So for your standard combo, right, you'll go Aluber, and this is going to be the 1-card combo I'm going to show you guys as well, but the Fallen and the Virtuous, I'm going to show you guys 2 things on this combo. So this is going to be the 1-card Aluber combo, where you can get a nice lad going and get you a bunch of different interruptions, but also I want to show you guys what happens with Mirror Jade. So we go for Branded Fusion, and go to the graveyard with Albaz, obviously, but then we go for the Lubellion this time, and which is very standard, right? but we go for Albion effect, and then Albion can then banish off Albaz plus Aluber, and go for Lubellion, and then go Lubellion effect, discard for cost the talents, and then go for the Albaz itself to be shuffled back, and then go for Mirror Jade, and then tribute off the Albion for the Lubellion, and this is the most standard lad line as it gets, but this is a very good one that you can even use with the structure deck, because you know at this point you could be setting branded branded beast, which is very good if you have two, like, or if you're just dealing with 3 structure decks especially. But branded loss is very good if you have like the other support with it too. But it's very good because we're going to be going for a Light and Darkness Dragon Lord line, so if you don't have that, you can kind of just go for branded beast here and kind of stop. But and then set branded banishment by recommending Chaos Star Source at least, you know. So we're gonna go into the end phase, go for the Albion, go for branded banishment, and then we can set branded banishment and pass to our opponent. And once again, if this is once again, if you're just dealing with 3 structure decks, this should be branded beast. I just want to make that clear. And if you have the lad or the Chaos Star Source, you can, especially the lad, right? So if you have lad, you can just go branded beast and draw phase, or sorry, branded banishment, and then banish off your Lubellion plus the Albion to make the lad. And this is on its own 5 interruptions, because then you go branded lost and you get to search the Mercurier. You know, Light and Darkness Dragon Lord is a triple Omni negate. It's mandatory though, so it has to activate. So you do chain block your own Mercurier, but if you have other cards in rotation like the Fallen and the Virtuous, you can pop your own lad once it's at 400 so it doesn't chain block the Mercurier, for instance. So yeah, and then you still have your banish off Mirror Jade too. Now, I want to show you guys also with the Fallen and the Virtuous, especially when you have, like, let's just say a Quem in rotation already. So let's just say you have Quem, you haven't used Quem's like actual effect yet, and you have the Mirror Jade on the board, and you can go Mirror Jade here. Let's just say your opponent has 2 monsters. Let's just put it over here, 2 of them. And this is your board. You haven't used any of your effects yet, and you go for Mirror Jade effect, you know, sending whatever, basically, and then Mirror Jade can banish the first one. And then you can go Fallen in the Virtuous, and then send another card, whether it's just like Renbrum or something, and then you can pop your Mirror Jade, and then you can, on the resolution, trigger the Quem to then revive your Mirror Jade, because a card left the extra deck, and then you can go Mirror Jade effect and send another card, and you basically just, you know, filled your graveyard and gave yourself infinite follow-up. And you might be like, oh, you could have just used the Fallen the Virtuous on that, but some cards can't be targeted, right? So like this is very useful for that kind of thing, in my opinion. And sometimes your opponent won't, like, this is also useful in like an OTK scenario, right? Because like, let's just say you can't kill your opponent, you're going for game in battle phase, your opponent's at like, you know, whatever, 3,000, you've already attacked with your Mirror Jade, you can't do game. Well, now you can go Fallen in the Virtuous and do that kind of thing. And then just pop that, and then trigger the Quem, right? And then just revive it to then go for game again. So it's just like there's a lot of utility, I think, in the Fallen and the Virtuous. Especially when you have things like Quem, you have Retribution, in Kit, which can like make this card like highly recurable. So just like this card's one of the most custom cards in your branded deck, and you really, I think it's like the ceiling is endless with this kind of card. All right, so this combo is for locking. So if you do end up buying the Sanctifier, this will be pretty good. Go for Fusion Deployment, reveal the Grand Guignol for Cartesia to dodge any sort of negation targeting effects on your Aluber. And then you can go Aluber effect, because you can chain Cartesia here and fuse it off, and it will no longer be targeted. And then we can go Branded Fusion, and then go Branded Fusion effect to send the Albaz plus the Lubellion to the graveyard. And then you can make the Albion, and then you can go Albion effect. This should not be in the Relinquish Anima column, but oh well. Banish off the Albaz plus the Aluber for the Lubellion effect, discard for cost, and then fuse back the Lubellion plus the Albaz to then go for a Mirror Jade, and then tribute over the Albion for the Lubellion, and if they nib you here, chain the Cartesia for Grang, so you can trigger the Grang, and then go for Lubellion, and go for the Branded Lost. If you have Branded Beasts, that's pretty good once again here, but I think that this is kind of good for the combo, and then we can go Cartesia effect to then fuse off itself plus the Lubellion to go for the Dust Dragon, and then go for Grang. Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2 Lost. Your opponent can't respond because you're under Lost. That's why Lost is so important here. And then go for... You can either go for Shrouded Dragon if you want to like lock with less steps, but in my opinion this is a better way. You go for Mercurier so you can't get hand trapped. And then you send to the graveyard a Titanclad off the Grang, and then you go the end phase, go Titanclad effect, and then summon out Quem effect, send the Albaz to the graveyard. So you always need an Albaz and Cartesia in graveyard with Branded most of the time. And it's very important for the lock to keep the Cartesia in graveyard just in case your opponent doesn't really play into your board that well and in an unfavorable way. And then you set the Branded in red here off the Albion, which is very important, and then you just set it, and then you pass to your opponent. You let your opponent play the game right. Ideally, you'd like to go Mirror Jade when your opponent summons a monster, and then go Mirror Jade effect to then send for cost a Renbrum, which is pretty important here to then remove the token. If a DB would ever not stop lagging. And then you can trigger the Quem to summon out Cartesia here if you want. And then you can go Cartesia effect. This is why you need double Guignol as well. Fuse off the Guignol plus itself. For the new Guignol, go Chainlink 1 Guignol, Chainlink 2 Lost. You can then get like just follow up if you'd like. And then go for off a Grang Guignol, the Ido to the graveyard, which is very important, obviously. And then here you can go Branded in red, target the Albaz. Ideally, you would like to use your Albaz with Renbrum first, but if your opponent doesn't let you kind of do that, if it's Dracotal, for instance, you just have to rip the lock, right? Or they're going to break your board. So you can then just banish your second Grang on the board and go for the Sanctifier, and you can chain to the summon of Sanctifier. This is very important because you're still under Branded Lost protection if you're chaining to the summon, so you can then summon without being responded to a Ido to your opponent's board, and you can summon whatever else you'd like at this point. You could also loop the Albion if you'd like, which is kind of neat. It's just a big body, and you get to at least keep it in rotation, and gives you potential follow-up, right? And then you still have the Mercurier in hand to still interrupt your opponent plus follow-up, and your opponent has to drop you at this point, and this was only a 2-card combo, so you should have more on top of that. So yeah, guys, what did you think of those combos? What did you think of the updated deck list? Did you like the upgrades that I presented to you guys that you can put into your triple structure deck list? Are you guys just picking up Branded, or are you returning to Branded, or are you Branded veteran? Let me know down below. And once again, if this video gets to 150 likes, we will do a follow-up 3 more combos for the structure decks for you guys. So with that being said, Branded best deck. It's not even close. Love you guys. Stay safe. Bye now.